Yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Golden State Warrior Fan Room presented to you by myself, your host. You can follow me on X at Ultra30111. And you can follow my other guy here, Justin. He's a regular at this point. He always stop by and showing love. So shout out to him at the Package AG. And yeah, man, it's the Warriors all season, as you can see by the title. Pretty much a month in, and the Warriors ain't did shit, but hey, we here. And yeah, so before we dive into any topics, my guy, just how you doing today, brother?
Pretty good. I mean, like you said, the Warriors haven't done anything, so as we all just waiting, it's almost like the off season never really happened for us, like other than losing Looney. But yeah,
Mm, yeah, but man, we're a month in, and still nothing has happened. Like you said, Luna left, but that's pretty much it. And yeah, man, while we're here, man, let's kick it off. Top of the head, the Kaminga situation. That's kind of the biggest thing here for us Golden State Warriors fans. Just trying to see like this situation, like what direction are they looking to head in. I've been reading multiple reports saying he's trying to get paid. He's looking for like a certain role. Meanwhile, on the Golden State Warriors side of things, it's just that they can't promise him a role, and they're really not trying to pay him the money he's looking for. I seen something along the lines of like 30 million, something in that in between that range or something like that. But I think that the Warriors are trying to give him like 20, maybe a little less than that. And like I said, they're not trying to just promise him a role on his team. But man, what are your thoughts on the Kaminga situation? Like
Mhm.
it's kind of dragged on up until this point. Who knows how long it's going to keep going on. But what are your thoughts on that Kaminga situation thus far?
yeah. I mean, just looking at a couple notes I seen on the timeline, I think Golden State's current offer is somewhere around 2 years, 40, which is a clear indication they don't want to be married to Kaminga long term. That would be obviously a deal that they're looking to move, probably at the deadline. There was
Mhm.
Kaminga's agent on the timeline saying that they never got anything close to $30 million per year offered to them. Who knows if that's actually true or not? But I
Oh,
mean,
really? Well, I didn't even
that's what,
see that.
yeah. Kaminga's actual representation said that on Twitter, which is kind of wild to be doing. But I think overall, this is one of many situations in the NBA right now. You see with Josh Giddey, Cam Thomas, Quentin Grimes, where these guys are restricted free agents, and um, it's a tough market, right? Like the modern NBA is not really built for free agency anymore. It's more so lock yourself down with extensions on your current team and then look for
Yeah.
trades if you want to go to a different team. Um, and that's just kind of how the new CBA is kind of shaked out. And then also a lot of these guys, view themselves in a light that the rest of the league doesn't view them, right? So Kaminga views himself as a potential star in the future, and the rest of the league does not view him as that, nor do the teams that potentially do look at him like that have the money to give him that he wants. So he's kind of stuck, right? So your current team doesn't view you as a star, and you want to leave your current team because hierarchy has Steph and Jimmy ahead of you. Um, and then the teams that you potentially might want to go to and try to be a star don't have the money to outright sign you at the rate that you want to get signed there. So he's stuck. I think ultimately he doesn't have any leverage. So he probably will re-sign with whatever the Warriors are willing to give him because that'll be the most money he can get. And then they'll probably end up moving him at the deadline, even though they're in talks right now with Sacramento and Phoenix on potentially getting something done before training camp starts. But those teams aren't giving up, good packages because why would they, right? If there's no bidding war, you don't have to put out a good package to get this player. So
Yeah.
uh, that's the situation we're in.
Hey, man, you hit on the head. All great points there. To kind of piggyback off what you said, like with Josh Giddey, Cam Thomas, and Quentin Grimes, they're just a product of the new CBA, man. Like, you know, due to a lot of teams being limited out here, they can't just go out there and offer these guys the money that they're looking for. And, I seen a report with Cam Thomas that the Brooklyn Nets reported off him like a 2 year, I think it was like $28 million deal or something like that. But he's looking to
Mm-hmm.
get like a massive payday. But I don't just see teams going out there to do it due to the new CBA. So in so many words, you could thank a guy like CJ McCollum and Grant Williams for this. Unfortunately, but hey, man, it is what it is. But my biggest, kind of thing with this Kaminga situation, like if we do sign him back, it's like is he going to like want to play to win, or is he just going to go out there and just look to get his own? Like that's why I just kind of feel like at this point, it's just best to move on. But to your point,
Mhm.
his value is just not as high because teams are not just offering a lot of good packages out there. I've seen the Kings are reportedly offering like a first round pick, Dario Sargent, like Devin Carter, and if I'm not mistaken, like the Bulls package will revolve around Ayo. So things like that's not necessarily ideally what we would need, but hey, his value just not as high right now, and he's looking to get paid. So yeah, man, it's very interesting to see how much longer this can linger on. Like I said, we're a month in, and pretty much been the same reports every week. They're like at a crossroad right now, no major progress, I say. But the Sacramento Kings are like the team I say that's the most interested in him. So we'll see if
Mhm.
we could potentially renegotiate a deal. I seen that the Warriors are not looking to take on Malik Monk contract. I don't know if you've seen that, but
Mhm.
yeah, that's what I seen.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of aligned with that, even though they can use a lot of what Malik Monk brings to the table in terms of offensive creation, scoring, shooting, athleticism in the open court on offense. But the way the new CBA works, you just you can't commit a ton of money to players who may or may not be in your closing lineup. Like Malik and Steph in the backcourt together is a bit small. And the Warriors have had a tendency to lean into micro ball in the
Hmm.
past couple of seasons because they haven't had the front court pieces that Steve Kerr can trust to go a little bit bigger. So I guess that brings us to Al Horford, potentially coming to the Warriors, who will change that a bit. But yeah, it's a tough situation to navigate with Kuminga. It's a tough situation to navigate with the money in the CBA and the NBA. But
Yes.
that's what Mike Dunleavy is getting paid to do. So hopefully he figures something out.
Yeah, and then also, man, like you don't really want to commit that much money to like a specialist. Like Malik Monk is just pretty much a bucket year to nothing more. Like, I think
Mhm.
those days are just over, bro. Like you're a specialist in this league, bro. Your days are just about numbers. So yeah, I can see why
Yeah,
they wouldn't want to commit that much money to a one-way player. It makes all the sense in the world. And I also seen that Phoenix was interested in him. I don't know if you've seen that.
I
And
did.
they didn't want to take on Grayson Allen contract, which Malik Monk and Grayson Allen roughly makes around the same. So I could kind of see that in a sense. So it all makes sense. But yeah, man, just Kuminga situation. Just kind of hopes that it gets resolved. Sooner than later in a sense because it's like the market is pretty much dried up at this point. There's a lot of good free agents out there, but those guys' value is not just as high. So there's a
Mhm.
reason that they still out there. But I wouldn't take a chance on a few of those guys out there. Like a Chris Boucher, potentially Trey Lyles. Me, was just talking about this before we went on live. That it's reported that we got handshake deals with a D'Anthony Melton and Al Horford. So we shall see about that. But my advice to Warriors fans, like, you probably shouldn't get too upset about it because you should have braced yourself before we even entered the offseason. Like, you knew that this situation would kind of, it could happen, all season long. I think, I don't know, was he extension eligible during the season or was it like a deadline before the season?
I think it was a deadline before the season, but I mean,
Okay.
him and Moses came in together. Moses got his extension done early.
Yeah. See, you
So
just got to kind of brace yourselves for that. Like, you knew
yep.
that this would happen. So basically, this Kaminga situation is kind of holding up our whole offseason. You just kind of put it that way. But yeah, just got to brace yourselves, man, because, you know, maybe the Warriors cooking something up. Maybe they can pull off a trade, but they
I
look
mean,
at
there
it from
was.
the perspective of that we got Jim at the trade deadline. So, you know,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the Warriors fans definitely should have braced themselves for it. I think the best opportunities to avoid the situation were the previous two trade deadlines,
hmm
2024 and 2023. I think that's when Kaminga's value was the highest, and he still had multiple years or at least 1 year left on his deal. So a team might be a little bit more willing to take him on because they know he's under team control for a couple seasons or one season before they really got to pay him. But now it's
yeah,
tough to sell him to a team where he's pretty much a question mark and you got to pay him. So you paying for somebody that you really don't know just
yeah,
how good they are, right? We know he can score, but it's like, okay, what else is he going to bring? Are we just going to be a lottery team forever with him? So teams aren't going to throw the bag at that. Teams aren't going to throw proven players at that. So yeah, I think They had opportunities to potentially go grab OG Anunoby.
Hmm.
Obviously, that may have complicated getting Jimmy Butler with OG's contract, but like these are just the situations that we found ourselves in previously, and they just sat on their hands, right? So it
Hmm.
is what it is at this point.
Yeah, but like a little off the topic question here, bro, because I have to. It's going to tie in with the Kaminga situation. But what do you think is the requirements to become an analyst? Like, on television. Like, what do you think the requirement is?
um, to become an analyst.
Yeah, bro. Like you see Stephen A. Smith, Kendrick Perkins, all those guys up there. Like, you know.
I mean, Stephen A. was a journalist for the longest. He was, I think, pretty good at his job as a journalist. So he just worked his way up from there. But obviously, all the other guys are like former NBA players, but they don't really. I mean, I guess you got to have charisma more
Yeah.
so than basketball knowledge nowadays.
Mhm. Yeah.
The guys who are the most knowledgeable don't get as much TV time as the other guys. So
The reason I bring that up, bro, is because don't get me wrong, Kaminga, my guy. I think he can reach a ceiling in his league. I just don't quite know what it is, but he has all the potential in the world. But I seen Kendrick Perkins said that Jonathan Kaminga was an elite defender, and it's like,
oh,
what do you guys be watching, bro? Like, what is going on here, bro? Like, don't get me wrong, he has the tools to be a pretty good defender. He's
for
athletic,
sure,
he's got length, he's got height. I'm not knocking that. But to say that he's an elite defender is just crazy to me, bro. Like, do
pretty
you
crazy.
guys watch the games? Like, come on, bro. Like, what are
They
we
definitely,
talking about here, bro? Like, it's the simple things. Like,
yeah.
just ridiculous, man.
They don't watch the games. At least not enough to make definitive statements like that. But he gonna still say that statement with his whole chest. So
Right, like
it is
he's
what
just
it is.
absolutely right, bro. But to your
Yeah.
point, though, the guys that actually know ball, they don't get a lot of TV time. So, and it
Hmm.
shows because it's just kind of like it just shifted to like just strictly entertainment. That's all what it is. Just saying who's going to say dumb stuff and gets the most views and just things like that. But
Yeah.
to get back on track, though, bro. So it's reported that Anthony Melton and Al Horford, that the Warriors reportedly have handshake deals in place with these guys. So let's just say things do work out. We resolve the coming situation whether he stay or leave. What are your thoughts on those guys potentially joining the team?
I love it. I love it. I think a huge missing piece from last year's team was
Hmm.
obviously another big that they can trust without Draymond on the court or with Draymond, right? Trace had a really good rookie season and Post had a really good rookie season, but
Yeah.
those guys still had clear flaws and weaknesses in their game that
Hmm.
make them much less playable in a playoff setting. Even
Hmm.
though Al Horford is much older and close to retirement, he's still a viable center in a playoff setting. He can help you get to the promised land as a center next to Draymond or um, as a guy that's holding down the fort by himself. If you look up lineup data, the lineups with Steph and Jimmy on the court with Draymond off the court did not do that well, mainly because they don't have any defensive anchors behind them or rebounding and stuff like that when Draymond sits on the court, sits on the bench. So Al Horford is someone who can step in and fill in those minutes, and they can still keep, high net rating and win those minutes without Draymond on the court.
Yeah.
And D'Anthony Melton, we saw what he can do early in the season last year. Just a defensive guy who can hit threes at a high clip, can
Yeah.
also do some secondary attacking with the basketball in his hands, make good passes. He's just one of those players that you can kind of fit on any team because he can do multiple
Hmm.
things. He's
Yeah.
lengthy, and it's just more so a question of like, how is he going to look off the ACL? It usually
Yeah.
takes a little bit of time to get back to what you previously were, but just from a fit perspective, both guys fit perfectly. They both can pass, they can defend their position, and they can shoot threes. That's something that the Warriors were lacking last year, especially after Pods and Moody got hurt on their shooting hands.
Hmm.
Um, but the formula is clear, right? Steph and Jimmy gonna carry the offense. Draymond gonna be the connective piece, and all the players that play around them need to be able to defend their position and hit open threes.
Yeah.
And I think those two guys fit fit into that mold perfectly, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love those two moves.
Yeah, I agree, bro. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, because a lot of people been saying stuff about Al Horford, saying that he's old and stuff like that, that he wouldn't probably be a
Hmm.
good fit. But here's the way I view it. Okay, Al Horford he's about to be 40, right? But we not asking Al Horford to be an all-star like he once
Right.
was. We're not
Exactly.
asking Al Horford to even potentially be a starter, play heavy minutes. We just asking Al Horford to, when he step on the floor, be that floor spacer, be that veteran. Guys like Trace, Quinn, all these young guys can learn from him. Just bring that veteran presence. We're not asking him to be the old Al Horford, back then. Just kind of asking him to, do the simple things. And I'm pretty sure he could be a star in that role and doing those things. So, in
Hmm.
saying that, that's what kind of tips it off to like, okay, we should get him. And then also, when you look at the market, bro, there aren't many stretch bigs out there. I take a
Nope.
guy like Al Horford, NBA champion, playing a ton of playoff experience. And for Al Horford to be his age, the past 2 seasons, bro, he has played like over 70 games. So,
Hmm.
a lot of you have to take account for that. So I
He's
just feel like it'll be like a seamlessly fit. So yeah.
for sure. I mean, like there's like you said, there's not a lot of bigs that can defend and hit threes, especially at
Hmm.
the volume and at the efficiency that he's doing it.
Right.
Um, and he's switchable, right? He's not one of those like lumbering big, like he's not like a Miles Turner type where Miles can kind of switch sometimes, but he's not super mobile anymore, right?
Hmm.
Where Al Horford, even though he's not as mobile as he used to be, is still one of the better switching centers in the league.
Yeah,
So
even at
he
his
should be
age.
even at his age, right? His IQ is super high. He has
Hmm.
long arms, strong body, and he moves his feet extremely well. So I think he'll be a seamless fit on both ends of the court because he can pass and shoot. And like you said, we're not asking him to play 35 minutes a game, right? Like he just needs to play enough minutes where Draymond's off the court to hold the fort down, and then they can overlap a little bit. But if you're going to keep both of them most likely under 30 minutes a game. And Draymond might be a little bit over or at 30, but Al Horford will probably be under 25 minutes a game. And that's
Yeah,
perfect for
right.
somebody of his age, and he's still pretty
Mm.
mobile. It'll be like an Otto Porter situation, but like
That's it.
he's more durable than Otto. He's better than Otto was, right? Even though Otto was really good, he's better and he's more durable than Otto. But they're still going to probably be cautious with his minutes in the same way.
Yeah, for sure. Then also, bro, like I'm pretty sure we're gonna load manage him. Like, there's no need for him to play every game in the regular season. We just trying to
Hmm.
get to the playoffs. That's when his value is gonna really show. And to your point with Draymond, like, if he's gonna be playing a ton of minutes at center, then we should kind of keep it down to under 30. But for sure, just try to load manage the both of those guys in the front court. So yeah, it's gonna be
Hmm.
interesting. But nonetheless, Al Horford is gonna be a good fit. But moving on to D Mel, same with him. I mean, you seen the sample size. He played like 6 games with us, and you could kind of see that there was things starting to click there. With him and the team. So I feel like it's going to be a great fit. The only thing is, to your point, him coming off a major injury like that, and he's pretty much known for getting injured. Just don't know, is he going to look the same? But
Hmm.
I feel like it's worth the risk because when you look at the market, it isn't a ton of guys with his skill set out there. So
Right.
yeah, all signs are pointing to Gary Payton not coming back,
Hmm.
but I don't know, man. They may sign him if it's like a last roster spot type of thing, but
It's
um,
not a lot of money out here. So he
no,
might
it's
have to
not.
come back just off him having no market elsewhere. You
Hmm.
know, I think they would have brought Loon back at a lower number, but there was money out there for Loon to get apparently, so he got it.
Yeah,
And I don't think that opportunity is going to be out there for Gary.
yeah. I don't blame Loon, man. I think that's probably going to be his biggest uh, payday of his last biggest payday of his career. With all due respect. So I don't blame him for taking it, unless he kind of boosts his value back up in New Orleans. But hey,
Yeah.
and yeah, man. So I also seen that they're interested, like it's mutual interest between the Warriors and Steph Curry. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, you think that'd be a pretty good fit?
Yeah, it's a good fit. I think he's a bit like I think his position is pretty stacked on the team already, especially if you get Melton to come. Um, so you got Steph, obviously Pods, Melton, Buddy, Moody sometimes depending on the matchup or whatever. So it's a lot of players already in their backcourt. But it wouldn't hurt to have another guy that can hit shots and you know what I mean. Like if you got open roster spots, also Will Richard, they just drafted him. He's another kind of like two
Hmm.
guard Melton type of guy.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a ton of minutes available, but you can never have too many useful players. So
Hmm.
Seth has been a part of the Warriors organization before when he was much younger. It's obviously Steph's brother. that would be probably a really good locker room kind of vibe type of move, and he can
Hmm.
still shoot. So
Yeah, he is
he
shooter
never
for
going
sure.
he's never going to be able to he's never going to lose that. So
Never.
yeah.
Nah. It's just in his gene. You know, they're never going to lose that. But
Yeah.
no, man, I feel like it'd be a pretty good fit. I wouldn't be mad if they signed a dude because, it's probably just like a back end, type of move. 14, maybe 13 roster spots. So I wouldn't just be mad at that. And you can
Hmm.
always you can't go wrong with shooting on your team, anyways. That's something that we struggle with in the playoffs. When guys was kind of banged up, they couldn't hit their shots. So hey, can't go wrong with that. And yeah, man, I seen you had made a tweet, bro, about Moses. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little more, like about the athleticism perspective of that?
Yeah, I was saying I think Warriors fans are a bit too eager to throw Moses in trades. Now I get it; he has one of the more tradable contracts on the team. He's under 20 million a year, but above 10 million a year. So those contracts usually get added to another guy's contract to equal another, a bigger player or whatever.
Hmm.
But I see a lot of people just saying like throwing Moses in trades just for like anybody, right? And it's like if you're not getting a major upgrade to what he does, um, he's probably going to be the best option that you have at his role and his position, right, on the team. Um, we saw when he was with, early and when Jimmy got there, how he was playing then. He was hitting 40% of his threes, playing
Hmm.
really good defense, and their starting lineup was undefeated for like almost 20 games with
Hmm.
him, Pod, Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond. Now, obviously, I don't think that's a viable starting lineup for a full season, but that just clearly shows that he's a positive impact player, right? Like
Yeah.
he's a good player. He
Hmm.
was hurt at the end of the year, hurt his hand against Milwaukee, and there was a shooting hand, and he couldn't shoot again after that. And it's like you can't really blame a guy when his thumb or whatever is like
Yeah.
has a torn ligament in it. He's not going to be able to hit shots.
No.
Um, so I think people are just kind of left with a sour taste in their mouth based on him kind of being out of the rotation in the playoffs and not being able to hit a shot. But he had a valid reason for that. He played through an injury, which also shows some dog in him.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I just think he's a good young player that's going to keep getting better. So unless you're going to get a
Mhm.
clear upgrade to him, like, you know, it was a pipe dream, but Herb Jones just re-signed with the Pelicans. Like it was some chatter about him potentially being available. Like Herb Jones is better than Moody. Like, okay, cool. You can move Moody for Herb Jones, that would make sense. Um, but if it ain't a player that's a clear upgrade, an all defense type guy, maybe like a starter type of guy,
Yeah.
he's gonna be good. You don't need to move Moody just because you just to move him.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's
agree,
just my
bro.
opinion.
Like, yeah, I have a different level of appreciation for a guy like Moses because, to your point, it just kind of shows he has a dog in him. Most of these young guys in the league today, bro, if they would have had an injury like that, they would have not even played. So you have to kind of give a guy like that his flowers and commend him on doing that, because,
Yeah.
a torn ligament, who knows that, with him playing with a torn ligament, that it couldn't have got worse or whatever the case may be. But he still plays, so that says a lot right there. And to your point, like with the lineup going 20-0 or whatever the case may be, Moses, he kind of shown that he's just more than a spot up shooter. Like to your point, he was defending, and I seen him catch a free bodies. That dunk he had
Yeah.
in the Memphis game, he caught a body in New Orleans. I think in Houston too, he's just showing that he's athletic too, and that's what this whole
Hmm.
topic is about. We be quick to throw this dude in trades, when the fact of the matter is we can use a athletic wing. With the way the league is kind of shifting. So yeah,
Hmm.
man, you hit the nail on the head. I agree with pretty much everything. And yeah, man, shout out to Moses, bro, for sure. And so the Warriors, man, 2 draft picks, Alex Tui and Will Richards. What are your thoughts on those guys? Did you see anything in summer league that stood out? And also a follow up question, like, do you think that we made the right picks with those guys?
Yeah, I like the picks. I mean, I didn't do too much like grind of the summer league tape.
Hmm. Yeah.
But just based on skill set, Will Richard is a guy who could potentially play here and there and be a positive impact guy. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he was a rookie that got some minutes and was actually decent out there.
Hmm.
He played on a national title team.
Hmm.
He's one of the not an older guy, but he's not. I don't think he was a one and done. I'm pretty sure he wasn't a one and done. So he's in that Melton archetype where he's bigger than most point guards, but he's not quite like a big guard. But he has long arms, he defends well, and he can shoot the ball. So, like I said, if you can defend your position and hit open threes, you should find some success on this team playing next to Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy. So I think he'll be a pretty good day one contributor. Two,
Mm-hmm.
he looks like more of a project. But if they can get him, on the program, I think maybe in a year or two,
Yeah.
he can be a pretty good player. You can see the IQ is there. He can make quick reads. He has
Mm-hmm.
a pretty good skill for someone his size in terms of handling the ball, shooting the ball. He's not
Mm-hmm.
the most athletic guy, but he's legit 6'8", 6'9". So I think that makes up a little bit for his athleticism or lack of athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm satisfied with the picks. We got to actually see him play and see what they can do. But I think they made pretty good picks.
Yeah, he hit on the head with Will Richards. I feel like that was a great pickup for sure. Defender, only thing you kind of have a question with him is his jumper. But if he put the work in, it'll probably translate over. But we may not see a ton of minutes from him this season, but you never know, man. It's a long season. Guys may get injured and the spot may open up. So yeah, and then with Alex Tui, there isn't specifically one thing he's good at. He's like a system player. I think he fits. He kind of like a Ginobili in the sense he just does a lot of things, passing, rebounding, can defend a little bit, get to the rim, knock down free shots. So
Hmm.
not just great at any of those things, just kind of good at them, and that's pretty solid when you're in this system. You just got to know your role. So
Hmm.
yeah, man, I think overall solid picks for sure, but we'll see how it pans out for sure. So. But the last two questions kind of end the show out, bro. Kind of ties in a little bit. So Kevon Looney, man, he finally decided to leave us. What are your thoughts on that move? Do you think that this was long overdue, or that he could have probably stayed like a few more seasons?
Um, I wouldn't say it was long overdue. I think I would have been okay with him coming back at a. I mean, it's not my money, but like the the deal that he got, it was no way the Warriors were going to offer him that. So it's like, okay,
Mhm.
by all means, go get your money. He also expressed some uh
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah.
distaste with his last season with the Warriors in terms of them not really trusting him in the playoffs and things like that. I do
Yeah.
think that's valid because he's been a legacy guy here at this point, but at the same time, it's like he clearly lost a step um, as a player. At least with us, it looked like he did. He wasn't finishing around the rim at the same rate that he was when they won a championship. He lost a step a little bit defensively, even though he was still a great rebounder. He just wasn't quite as good. And he's one of those players that like he needs to be peaking at all the things that he's good at in order for him to make a real major impact out there.
I
And
agree.
he just wasn't quite that level that he was at in 2022 and 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody like Quentin Post, um, was coming in and he was hitting jumpers, right? Like, and they needed that.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, Trace Jackson Davis was finishing around the rim and he was playing above the rim on defense. They needed that, right? So as the team shifted away from what they had in that 2022 and 2023 roster, right, losing Clay, losing Jordan Poole, those dynamic perimeter-based offensive players made Looney's job easier because the need for him to finish around the basket and score was diminished when you had those guys. You got Steph, Clay, and Jordan and Wiggins, four guys who can any given night give you 25 points. So you don't really need Looney to score. And
Yeah.
when the shots he's getting are wide open. So when
Right.
you lose those guys, now it becomes a little bit more, required of him to have more offensive juice, and he just didn't have it. So
Mm-hmm.
guys who do have more offensive juice, like Quentin Post and Trace Jackson Davis, got the nod over him in the rotation. He just didn't like that, which is valid. So I mean, I think it was time, right? He got a
Yeah.
payday that the Warriors weren't going to give him, and it was kind of like time for him to move on in terms of his role on the team anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
sad to see him go, but it was what it is. What it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is, bro. Like it definitely sucks to see Lone Dog go, bro. For sure, one of my favorite warriors of all time. Just the ultimate true
For sure.
professional, bro. Like, the guy just know his role to the T. He really defines being a star in your role. He just understands it, our system to the T. Just the little things, just the screen assists, down for loose ball, offensive rebounds, making sure Stephen Clay gets open, just knowing his role. Um, Yeah, man, just unfortunate, that his 10-year career with us, he really didn't develop a jump shot for real. Because I feel like that probably would have helped him stay on the court, even if it's nothing but a midi.
Hmm.
At least it's something respectable to an extent. Because the past couple of seasons, he started to flirt with that. Like he was doing like
Yeah.
middies in the game. He just was never consistent with it. Even like corner three balls, I thought he was going to take that leap one season because I seen him working on it in the off season, but he never
Hmm.
really just, I guess, stuck with it. But nonetheless, shout out to Lynn for getting the payday. And yeah, man, wish you the best down there in New Orleans, brother. Yeah, and the last question to end this out, bro. When you look at the roster currently constructed now, who do you have making like this leap that this team needs to get over the hump to potentially win a championship?
Hmm. Well, I mean, if you say, all right, Melton and Horford are coming, pause, are going to be on the team, then
Hmm.
it's got to be Pods and it's got to be Moses as of right now, right? We don't know what the JK situation looks like, whether he's there or if they trade him for somebody.
Hmm.
But I think those two guys making considerable leaps, essentially building upon what they did last season, just becoming more consistent as offensive outlets, right? Particularly in the form of spot up shooting and play finishing, and just
Yeah.
being more consistent perimeter defenders. I think that feeds into the depth of the team, right? When you look at the addition of Melton and Horford, you can say, okay, most games, Golden State's probably going to finish the game with Steph, Draymond, Jimmy, Horford, and either Melton or Pods or Moody, one of those three. Um,
Hmm.
so if they make considerable leaps as shot makers and defenders and be consistent, I think that can raise their floor to at least out of the play in, and then once you get out of the play in, it's anybody's game, right? It's 4 rounds, and then may the best team win.
Yeah.
So and they're the two youngest guys that are in the rotation, so they got to make the leaps. Everybody else is pretty much who they are at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes the most sense. Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, they are what they are, but. Yeah, I think it'd have to be between those two for sure. Maybe Post gets, better defensively. He gets some
Hmm.
dog in him and don't really get pumped like that. But we shall see. Interesting to see with Trace too, though. I don't really know what his role is. He may get some minutes though. You never know. Like we get Al Horford, maybe they potentially put him at the four, but it depends though.
Yeah,
But
I think depending on the team, you can definitely play those two together,
yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
depending
you
on
could
the
definitely
opponent.
a
Hmm.
lob threat and stretch big in the front court. So it gives you more size as well. And to your point, like Al Horford can hold his own on the perimeter. And when you look at like backup forwards, there isn't just a ton out there that just looking to score for real. So for the most part, they
Hmm.
just spot ups. So yeah,
Hmm.
but that's
I
pretty
mean,
much it.
someone, I guess, I
Okay, you
guess
got it.
someone else. Guy Santos is also a young guy, and he's a guy that potentially could be needed because he had a 6'8" frame, and they don't got a lot of like wings with that frame.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can go out there and he can keep playing with energy, getting rebounds, defending, and if he's hitting threes, then that's a big swing piece because of the size factor. So Guy
Who you
Santos
talking
is
about,
someone.
Gee?
Yeah, Guy. Yeah,
Oh
Guy
yeah,
Santos.
yeah, 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 Gee for sure. Yeah, Gee. Shout out to Gee though, because I think in a sense he was well excluding defense, but to an extent he kind of reminded me of Juan.
For sure.
I think Juan is a better defender, but
Hmm.
I think overall they kind of like got the similar game. So
Yeah.
yeah, he can use
Yeah.
guys like that for sure over the course of 82 games regular season. So yeah, yeah. But that's pretty much it, man. Make sure you guys. Uh, hopefully, I don't know, bro. Like I would say, hopefully by the end of the week we do something.
Hmm.
29 teams in this league has done something, and one team hasn't, and that's the Golden State Warriors. So it says a lot right there. But nonetheless, man, make sure you guys follow my guy Justin on X at the Package AG as well as myself at R2R30111. And if the Warriors decide to do something, maybe me and my guy can link up again and discuss the moves that they made. But that's pretty much it, man. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And yeah, with that being said, we out. Peace.